In the world of the NFL, contract talks can get pretty intense. But what's going on in Dallas right now? It's something else entirely. We're talking about a full-on public feud between a superstar player, Micah Parsons, and one of the most famous owners in sports, Jerry Jones. So let's get into it, because this thing gets messy, and it gets messy real fast.
And boom, that is the quote that just blew the doors off this whole situation. That's Jerry Jones on a podcast claiming that after he and Micah Parsons had personally shaken hands on a deal, Micah's agent basically told the team where to go. Now, for the record, the agent has gone on record saying that is absolutely false, that he has never ever used that phrase in his entire life. The reaction to Jerry's comment was, instant and very, very public. Almost immediately after that quote went viral, Micah Parsons goes on social media, scrubs any mention of the Dallas Cowboys, and just changes his bio to 3 letters, TBD. In today's world, that's pretty much a declaration of war. So how on earth did we get here? How did a deal that everyone thought was a sure thing just completely fall apart into public insults and cryptic bios?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? So in this explainer, we're going to trace the timeline. We're going to go from the very beginning, when everything seemed great, to right now, this 5-alarm fire, to figure out how this relationship just completely shattered.
Because you have to remember, this whole thing did not start ugly, not at all. In fact, if you go back to the beginning of the year, all the signs were pointing to Micah Parsons being a Cowboy for life. And honestly, both sides seemed pretty thrilled about it.
I mean, it all started out so well. Back in January, you had Jones and Parsons meeting up at the Cotton Bowl looking real friendly. Then in February, Mike is out there publicly saying he's confident they'll get a deal done. And then, get this, in early April, Jerry himself is telling the media that he and Micah have talked for hours and they're on the same page. Everything was pointing in the right direction.
And this quote from Micah back in February, it really tells you everything you need to know about his mindset at the time. He clearly trusted the process, he believed the front office had a plan, and that, it was all going to work out in the end. That trust, well, it was about to get tested in a big way.
Okay, so this is the moment. This is where the story splits into 2 completely different realities. It all comes down to one single meeting in March, just between the player and the owner. A meeting that these 2 guys remember very differently.
And here it is. This is the breakdown. According to Jerry Jones, that March meeting was the negotiation. He walked away thinking they'd agreed on everything, the money, the years, all of it. But if you ask Micah Parsons, he thought it was just a chat about leadership, that kind of drifted into some money talk, but he says at no point did he think it was an official, formal negotiation. This isn't just a miscommunication. This is 2 people living on different planets.
And you can see things were already going south right after that meeting. On April 1st, Micah posts this. He's publicly stating that his agent has to be involved. He was pretty much sending a message directly to Jerry Jones, saying, hey, we're not going to do some kind of old-school handshake deal here. This was a direct challenge to the way Jerry has done business for decades.
So from that point on, what was a private misunderstanding just exploded. It wasn't about quiet talks anymore. The whole thing spilled out into the open and was being fought through media interviews, podcasts, and social media posts.
And then came the move everyone was dreading. On August 1st, after months of what he described as just radio silence from the team to his agent, Micah Parsons decided he'd had enough. He dropped this long, detailed statement telling his side of the story, and yep, he officially requested a trade.
Let's break down what he said here. He lays out his whole case. He says his agent tried to talk to the team, but got nothing back. He insists, again, that the meeting with Jerry wasn't a real negotiation. And here's the kicker. He says his agent was later told the deal was pretty much already done, which confirmed his fear that they were trying to cut his agent out completely. And it all ends with that one devastating statement. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
So how did Jerry respond to all this? Well, in the most Jerry Jones way possible. He used this kind of bizarre metaphor. He's basically saying he's the easygoing daddy who said yes to the deal, Mike is the kid, and the agent is the strict mama who's trying to stop it. It's a folksy way to describe a $100 million conflict, that's for sure. And that brings us right back to where we started, with that explosive accusation. Jerry didn't just stick to strange metaphors, he went on the attack publicly. He claims the agent used that really vulgar phrase to kill the deal he thought he had with Micah. And since the agent completely denies ever saying it, you're left with this impossible he said situation. There is just no middle ground here. So, with both sides completely dug in, publicly firing shots at each other, what happens now?
I mean, the season is just around the corner, and the Cowboys' best defensive player is nowhere near the practice field.
Okay, so to really understand what's happening on the ground, you need to know this term hold in. Basically, it means Micah shows up to the facility every day so he doesn't get hit with these huge, massive fines, but he refuses to actually practice or do anything with the team. He's there, but he's not there. And all of this just adds up to a complete and total stalemate. You've got Micah holding in, the season opener is staring them right in the face. By all accounts, there are zero, and I mean zero, active negotiations happening. And now, you've even got his own teammates, guys like CeeDee Lamb, publicly saying, just pay the man. The pressure is building from every direction.
At the end of the day, this entire drama, all the quotes, all the drama, it really boils down to one fundamental question of power. Who actually has the upper hand here? Is it the legendary billionaire owner who writes the checks and has run this team his way for decades? Or is it the once-in-a-generation, completely irreplaceable player who can single-handedly win you a game? The answer to that question is probably going to decide the entire future of the Dallas Cowboys.